Hello and welcome to This Week in Laker Football, your exclusive weekly look into West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football all throughout their 2025 campaign right here on Civic Center TV. And 89.3 Lakes FM, I'm Tyler Keefe, joined as always by the Lakers' third-year head coach Coach Hilbers. 5-0 to start year number 3 at the helm after another impressive win, this time against an OAA white crossover opponent in Birmingham Groves. We talked about it last week. We were expecting a tough matchup. Those first 24 minutes, scoring was the toughest thing for both of these teams. What do you think was the difference maker for Groves' defense versus your offense, and your defense versus their offense, and shutting things down those first 24 minutes, limiting it to a 6-0 ball game at the half?
Well, I guess it was nice to be winning, and we did a really good job, I think, of controlling the clock and controlling the ball. We had a 21-play drive and another one that was about 8+ minutes. We just kind of sputtered a little bit in the red zone, went for it on a 4th down, didn't get it. Inside the 5 2 other times, had to settle for field goals, and that can be frustrating, I guess, but we felt we were in control of the game. They credit to them, they kind of hung around, kept us out of the end zone, were able to actually take a lead in the second half. But our guys have shown time and time again to just kind of be resilient to that type of stuff and kind of keep their eyes on the prize and the goal.
Body language and just the attitude overall on the sideline and the locker room, certainly out on the field, plays a big role in that. How does that contribute to your team being able to be resilient and have those tough first and second quarter of a game, come back and really punch the team in the mouth the second half like they seemed to do last week at home?
No, it's huge. I think, that body language and kind of your composure is contagious either way. So, if you start, losing it and start going negative, that spreads, and it's very, kind of conducive to not having a good product on the field. And our kids have been really good about, the inverse of that, just kind of keeping their head cool, focused on the job at hand.
Continue to see the versatility offensively for this team, getting so many different players involved. Through the first 5 weeks, you've got 2 receivers that have at least 100 yards receiving, if not more, 3 running backs with at least 200 rushing yards or more this season. How does that help you game plan for a variety of different styles of play defensively? It's one thing going up against Groves, completely different matchup when you see Oxford a couple weeks back at Rochester Adams, a couple weeks forward at Clarkson. How does that versatility help you and Coach Rye's game plan?
It's funny. We actually talked about that with the kids yesterday in our team meeting, which is about how it's kind of like if you ask someone like their favorite movie or their favorite musical artist, whatever, and it always kind of seemingly be this fluid thing that changes. This might not be my favorite movie now, but I know it was at one point. And I guess our offense is kind of like that too. Like, we'd like to be versatile, and luckily we have the kids that allow us to be versatile, not only individually as players, but to be able to spread the ball around in so many different ways. And I don't know, I guess, because we scout ourselves, we don't game plan for ourselves, but I like to think it would make game planning pretty difficult because, we do it for other teams, and if we see guys that can line up and hurt you a lot of different ways, it's tough.
It's a young team too, especially on offense, and I keep going back to this. You had 7 players returning defensively that were starters last year, just 4 on the offensive side, only one of those on the offensive line, that being Travis Robertson. And yet you have that composure. You seem to have that maturity from this team, and then you get to go back with some of the veteran players and check off some of those boxes. You defeat Rochester Adams. You come back around. Now you defeat Birmingham Groves in a tough matchup on your field versus a tough matchup on their field. For the veteran players, how have those first few weeks being able to check off some of those boxes, right some of those wrongs from last year, both in the scoreboard and the full gameplay, helped them to stay motivated and confident for the second half of the season?
Well, it's been their goal for a really long time to kind of get payback on some of those games that we didn't go our way last year. So I think for them, it's got to feel pretty good. But they also know that the next couple of weeks, we got a few of those on our schedule again. So it kind of keeps them, focused on the task at hand, but also satisfied with, at least a couple of those wins that we have.
Oxford coming up on Friday, back on the road, going to Big Blue on Friday night, 7 p.m. kickoff. We'll have that for you right here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Visit us on civiccentertv.com/Lakersports for our live coverage. If you haven't watched the game so far, all 5 of them available for you, linked on that page as well. Coach, defense played huge in that game. We talked so much already about offense, despite that really being a game that defense was highlighted. Some of the players that stood out, Tristan Hunter assisting in some of the biggest stops of that game, came up with a couple of them himself. He's been a pretty big surprise breakout player in 2025. How does he help to contribute to a defensive line that's already pretty stacked with Tank Pittman and Jeremiah Benson and company?
Well, he's fit in pretty nicely, and I guess it's a surprise if you haven't been around the program. 'Cause he's been up here for a couple of years, learning from some really good players, and kind of, I don't know, going through the ropes that a young kid goes through, trying to earn playing time in a program like ours. But he's earned it this year, and I think all those times, the last couple of years, kind of hardened him as a player, and he's really stepped up to the challenge as a O lineman and a D lineman. So it was good to see that. It was good to see the defense again step up when they were needed to, and we're just really proud of them as a unit.
Yeah, the game changer on Friday night, Will Espy had an incredible game in all three phases, played excellent on the defensive side. Offense was one of the focal points of that team, and early on had a big mistake, had a fumble, but later came back and had some of the biggest offensive plays of the game, including the game-sealing touchdown at the end, which was preceded by a couple of really huge stops against Birmingham Groves. How has his contribution now to both offense and defense been a big change for your team in 2025?
Yeah, it goes back to one of those things that you mentioned. We have a lot of returning starters on defense, maybe not as many on offense, but guys like him and Jeremiah are playing more offense now, and they might not be experienced on offense as varsity players, but they've done it growing up, and they're experienced football players that we trust to do whatever it is we're trying to do that week. So it kind of gives us a little bit more experience that I think we probably show on paper, and he's just been a real versatile weapon all around. I think he's been one of the better players in the OAA.
Having talked to coaches over the first few weeks of this season, some of the more common themes that have come up with them talking about their elder players is having the veteran players be basically a second coaching staff. It's one thing to have to coach your players, but when your players are coaching the players, it makes your job so much easier. How do players like Will Espy, like Jeremiah Benson, like Obi Duru, and so many of these veteran players that have been here in recent years help your coaching staff take this team to the next level as the paper shows, the 5-0 first few weeks?
Yeah, they've been invaluable in that regard. It really, it sounds silly, but it lets us as coaches focus on football instead of doing all the other stuff, because they do such a good job of policing everything else, and really just, I guess, keeping the attitude and the focus and morale of the team where it needs to be. So it's invaluable. The best teams, I think, are player-led, and I think this one is player-led.
We'll take a break here on This Week in Laker Football. Plenty more to dive into as we get ready for week number 6 and head off into the second half of the season. Before that, on the other side of this break, you wear number 5 in the West Bloomfield Laker uniform. Got big shoes to fill. You have the name Edwards and wear number 5. You got massive shoes to fill. The guy coming up with us after the break checks both of those boxes. Stay with us. It's This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. High formation. Shannon will hand off. Whitley lost it. They popped out. It's going back to West Bloomfield. Ezekiel Davis comes up with it at the 5-yard line. They hit him hard, and they're taking over.
And we talk about discipline, high IQ plays, doing the right thing. And right there, you see Lakers tracking it. Maybe he's going to scoop in, try and run it. No, he falls right on it because he realizes, hey, wait a minute, we can't let Birmingham recover this fumble because then it's 2nd and goal. Instead, it's Lakers football.
There are good days, and there are days that aren't going as we planned. Days that we feel unprepared.
Mom! Call 911.
But none of that matters, because today, you were prepared for what matters most. Today, you were ready with hands-only CPR.
Mom, did you really need to buy 2 can openers for our emergency kit?
I can't help it. They're 2 for 1. What's this?
We need to keep our family communication plan safe in case of an emergency.
Thanks, Tita.
We should think ahead to keep Mom and Dad safe when it floods this year. I've got an evacuation route loaded on my phone.
I've got an updated list of Dad's meds.
And I've got just what we need to get them to take this seriously.
Start a conversation with your family and plan together for emergencies.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football, your exclusive weekly look into West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football all throughout the season right here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe alongside West Bloomfield Lakers leading wide receiver in 2025 through the first 5 weeks, Willie Edwards. Willie, it's been a big start for you in the 2025 season, taking over big shoes to fill with Cam Flowers, Elijah Durham graduating last year, recent receivers such as Samaj Morgan. How does it feel for you through these first 5 weeks to have been able to have the performance you've had and contribute the way that you have to these 5 Laker wins?
I mean, it feels good, like me, I've been in their shadows kind of since really sophomore year. So I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from, Jackson Carver. And, he helped me a lot, really a lot, because he trusted me. It's just been great to actually see that the hard work is paying off. And it feels good to actually to really contribute, really, because when we had lost to A&T, I wasn't playing. So it's just it kind of hurt because, I couldn't really do much about the loss. So, it feels good.
And to have that experience going back with Jackson, too, from the JV days coming up in this program, you and other receivers on this team, other key skill players on this team, that's got to be a big contributor to the performance breaking out these first 5 weeks.
Yeah, because me and Jackson, we go way back because he got, practice on Saturdays with just, me and him and the receivers. So we worked a lot, there. We built our connection and our trust, and, it's showing great. So I'm proud.
254 yards receiving and 1 touchdown for Willie Edwards through the first 5 weeks. He's averaging just insane numbers right now, 25.4 yards per catch in 2025, and the Groves game alone, 17 yards per catch. Looking on paper from just a year ago, you'd be right up there with guys like Elijah Durham and Jaden Allos, Cam Flowers on the stat sheet. So for you, as you entered this season, what were some of your individual goals that ultimately would have been helping the team, and how do you feel you're achieving them so far?
I mean, really, I wasn't really expecting to play receiver because I played linebacker last year for the Lakers, and I was hoping to fill in that role, but a spot opened up, and I stepped up, and I'm glad. And it's been great to help the team win, because that's always the goal at the end of the day. Because without a team, there's nothing. So.
You spoke earlier about learning together with Jackson and some of the other players that have come up from JV in recent years, have had that experience together. But last year being on the team in the linebacker core, but being able to practice against people like Elijah Durham and Jaden Allos, who had a lot of varsity experience, Cameron Flowers, who had experience at West Bloomfield as well as in Ann Arbor, previously playing high-level football. How did that help you maybe make that transition in 2025 to being a full-time wide receiver, and beyond that, being wide receiver number 1?
I mean, it helped me because I got I wouldn't say, yeah, I say I got to learn from the best because, they're at D1 schools right now, so they helped me a lot. They taught me, how to break and things like that. So, it's just good to, actually have a mentor kind of. So, yeah.
Lakers 5-0. They're going to be going on the road once again, back into northern Oakland County this week. Oxford on the docket, Friday, 7 p.m. kickoff. We will have a live broadcast for you from the away side of the field at Oxford High School. 7 o'clock kickoff. Our coverage will begin right around 6:30, 6:45 p.m. CivicCenterTV.com/Lakers Sports. Your second year on varsity, now playing at the wide receiver position. It's really night and day, it seems, from last year, the performance of this team. Having been on that team, having seen it from the defensive side, seen it from the second string and the first string a bit in 2024, what do you think is the big difference with this team that's helped go from being a team on the cusp of being over 500 in 2024 to being one of the final undefeated teams in Division I?
The key thing for us has been really brotherhood and leadership because, last year we lacked that a lot. And, in the offseason we preached it. In the weight room we preached that as well. In meetings, all that stuff, we preach brotherhood and we have that. And that's the biggest key thing because, we help each other and we build each other up after mistakes. Like when Will have fumbled, we told him, hey, bro, we got you. You keep your head up and just make plays. And he did and helped us win.
Yeah, he came back and he had 2 big defensive stops in the fourth quarter that set up a game-winning drive, a game-sealing drive. They were up 12-7 at the time, but included a touchdown where he really did earn that back at the end of the game. That fourth quarter MVP for Will Espy and Willie Edwards, been the MVP in the receiving corps for the Lakers all season long. Going to be a big contributor in these next few weeks as the thick of the OAA Red schedule goes forward. Willie, before we let you go, I want to dive back into that locker room for this season. You mentioned the brotherhood, building those bonds, maintaining that chemistry. That's something that every player, every coach talks about every single season. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to aim for it. It's another thing to achieve it. What do you think has been a difference maker in turning this locker room into arguably the closest in the OAA Red this season?
It's really been our captains. I gotta give very, very high praise to like Will Espy, Jeremiah Benson, Kamari Pittman, and Jamal Shakespeare. I have to give high praise to those guys because they told us that this is a great team and we got great trust and great bond. And that bond has built and it's getting stronger and stronger every day. And it's been showing that it's working. We don't really, I wouldn't say, we don't really bring each other down. We help build and get stronger and stronger. So that has been like a really key factor for us. And yeah, it's been great.
Next time you go to a Laker football game, keep an eye on their sideline. I see it from the booth each and every week. It's a kind of different body language in 2025 versus 2024, and it's especially evident when you look at the sideline when things aren't going so well. You see the same attitude as when they are. Willie, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We'll take a break on This Week in Laker Football. Coming up, Coach Hilbers will rejoin me. We'll preview that upcoming game against the Oxford Wildcats. It's This Week in Laker Football on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Man in motion, Carver in the shotgun, play action. He escapes the tackler, throws up the field. Oh, man! Willie Edwards, scoop, spin, first down.
And again, just a tremendous play by Carver. He steps in front of the pressure, even avoids a rusher, and delivers a pass that goes over a defensive lineman's hand and right over the middle to his favorite target, seemingly, Willie Edwards.
Will he get it? Yes, he will. First down for West Bloomfield on an acrobatic play. The balance, the poise, the fearlessness from the gunslinger. And Willie Edwards, Mr. Reliable, picks up the football in close proximity, avoids a hit, and secures the first down.
I suddenly collapsed. I could hardly breathe. Everything went dark.
I'm gonna help you. I'm calling 911.
Thankfully, 2 wings of light landed on my chest, and I was brought back to life. A stranger, a fearless hero, touched my heart and saved my life. Our hands are wings of life. Learn hands-only CPR. Visit heart.org/CPR heroes.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Welcome back to This Week in Laker Football, your exclusive weekly look into West Bloomfield Lakers varsity football on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe. He, of course, is head coach Zach Hilbers. The 5-0 Lakers go back out on the road, this time heading back into northern Oakland County. The defending OAA Red Division champions, the Oxford Wildcats, are on the docket at Big Blue on Friday night. They're 3-2 overall. They've had some really tough games so far this season, but when they have shown what they are capable of, this is a really good team. You can't be taking your foot off the gas on Friday night against Oxford. What about them makes them such a scary team, even at 3-2 at midseason?
Well, I mean, anyone in our league, I think you could say that of, and clearly it's them. You mentioned they won the league last year. They play a similar style where quarterback with a lot of experience. He's a really good player. They'll kind of grind you and run the ball, kind of smash it, but then they also have a really effective play-action game, and they're pretty versatile on offense, and they have a good scheme. So, and then defensively, they've always been tough, and their defensive coordinator's taken over as head coach, and their identity really hasn't changed too much there either.
Yeah, Coach Potts, a longtime assistant at Oxford, much like Coach Hilbers was here at West Bloomfield High School, and it has kind of been the trend in the OAA in recent years. Longtime coaches, former players, guys with that pedigree taking over the job. How does that help to maybe, and of course it's a different program, you're not in that locker room every day, but to have that consistency in the locker room from the coaching standpoint when you do make a big transition, after someone that was as big of a contributor to that program as Coach Line moving on, how does that help a team transition to a new era while maintaining some of those strengths that they clearly had ready to go last season.
And I think consistency in staff is important for any good high school program. So we try to keep our guys around as long as we can. And obviously sometimes they have bigger and greater goals, and they're going to move on with those things in life, and we're happy for them. But I think the consistency is really important because the kids get used to your standard and the message and what it takes to be successful. And I'm sure that was kind of seamless for them because of his longevity there.
You look back at recent years, some of the toughest matchups for the Lakers defenses have been those multi-year starting quarterbacks, especially when you get into that third year at the helm. You're playing some of your best football. That's got to be a scary thing to think about coming into Friday night, because last season, second-year starting quarterback Jack Hendricks had a fantastic game in that matchup here in West Bloomfield. 2 passing touchdowns, over 200 yards passing. That's a kid that can make a ton of plays, both in the air and on the ground every Friday night.
Yeah, he extends plays with his feet. He's really athletic. He's mobile, and then he's a pretty good passer too. So he's not the biggest kid in the world, but he gets it done. He reminds us a lot of Rick Nance. We talk about it when we watch film from our quarterback from a few years ago. That in high school football, it doesn't always matter how big and strong you are or whatever. You can be a player and get stuff done, and he certainly is.
He went off last week at Lake Orion, 268 yards passing, 67% efficiency at Lake Orion. That's following up 70% a couple weeks back against Clarkston, one of the best teams in the entire state. Really scary matchup for the West Bloomfield Lakers there. They kind of have a similar story on paper to what your offense looked like coming into the season. Not many people returning from that starting lineup last year, but those players that are returning, guys like Carter Unruh, like A.J. Krupa, they play big roles in that team, and they can make some big stops.
Yeah, they're definitely senior heavy last year. But yeah, like you said, they have returning players, and they're pretty versatile too. They'll play running back, wing, fullback, line them up at receiver, and they do a good job of getting their guys the ball lots of different ways. And that versatility, I guess, similar to us, kind of keeps you off balance as a defense.
38-14, Oxford win last year here at West Bloomfield High School. Lakers, again, on that revenge tour they seem to be going on in 2025, have another opportunity in a tough matchup, really tough environment, too. And I've talked to you about this in the past, talked to Coach Grice and Coach Bellamy also, and many others about that away environment. It's not necessarily the same impact that it has having gone on the road or having home field advantage as you would at the college or NFL level. But when you have a fan base as passionate as you do in Oxford that loves their football, that can kind of make for that sort of simulated environment. How do you get your guys prepared to go into an environment like that?
Well, when it comes to like the crowd and the communities like that, we kind of use it as a motivating factor that they're going to be out there. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and like it's a platform that you get to play on. You have this opportunity, and our kids usually take that and run with it. The biggest thing for us is like the change in routine, how much earlier we have to leave and get ready, and everything feels accelerated on Friday. It's a little bit of a bus ride up there, but it's nothing that other programs don't have to deal with. So I don't know, like some of those negatives can end up being positives.
You're trying not to look too far ahead, but you're 5-0 now, undefeated in the OAA Red Division. Right now, it's more or less a 2-horse race between yourself and Clarkston. A win this week could set up a very, very big homecoming game on October 10th. How do you use that as motivation potentially without it becoming a distraction or getting the focus off of Oxford's game on Friday night?
And we haven't brought it up to the kids because if we don't win on Friday night, it's not as big of a game anyway. So I know it's in the back of your head. It probably is theirs too. But if you don't focus on the task at hand, especially in this league, then you end up paying for it more often than not.
Yeah, tough schedule ahead for West Bloomfield. There are no weeks available to be off the rest of the season, especially if you want to do something pretty rare in the OAA Red Division, come out of a regular season undefeated. Coach, before we let you go, big improvements each and every week throughout these first 5 weeks. What do you believe improved from week 4 to week 5 that you believe could have a big impact on bringing home the 6th dub of the season this Friday in Oxford?
I think it was really, we were a lot cleaner on both sides of the ball. I know we had that fumble in the third quarter on Friday, which kind of obviously hurt and stalled us a little bit. But we were sloppy at times at Lake Orion and got away with it with a really good second half. We were a lot more consistent. The difference is now is we got to finish some of those drives. We had great drives that resulted in 6 points, like 4 drives that really could have been scoring drives. And then the game feels a lot different if you can punch in half of those.
Very sustained drives, too, for the Lakers on Friday night, including one that was over 9 minutes long, and that 20-7 victory over Birmingham Groves. Looking for more of the same Friday night on that big blue turf in northern Oakland County in Oxford. We'll have it for you right here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Coach, thank you as always.
Thank you.
CivicCenterTV.com/LakersSports is the place to go to follow along with the team all season long. Game results, where to watch the game, and of course, to see us each and every week on This Week in Laker Football. Big thank you to the entire West Bloomfield High School Athletic Department and our team at Civic Center TV. For all of them and for you watching at home, I'm Tyler Keefe. Thanks for tuning in to This Week in Laker Football.